Last Orders at the Changamire Arms by Robin Walker. Read by Thaddeus Lovecraft. Chapter 1. Jock. An early casualty of changing philosophies, alas, the Windsor Hotel, a weary, early 20th century Salisbury relic, grimly hanging on like the whites who used her, was a victim of her own obsolescent style, at odds with a new world she did not understand. She tried yielding to demands for fashionable cocktail bars and grill rooms, but she was just no good. Cosmetic surgery was not enough, for behind the condescending facade, original rooms still lingered on, sinful, inflexible, and willfully unadaptable. It was total, radical change or go. The Windsor went. She gave up her sight to polystyrene shops that would soon overflow with cheap foreign muck and worthless local trash, and went. She was a game bird enough, though, in her time. I once passed a night in one of her dilapidated feather-bare wings, and when I got to my room and turned on what management called the light, I found myself surrounded by furniture that gave me austere looks and frowned at my dress. A great disdainful solid oak wardrobe, a dressing table of solid beechwood, its mirror yellow and fly-blown, and designed for women of a more robust era, a brass bedstead with a feather mattress you knew would yield to no nonsense. Down a bleak, dungeon-dark corridor, Rhodes leapt out and shouted diamonds at me if I whistled. The bathroom lay, like a malevolent spirit, patiently in wait, and in it the bath. I remember cast-iron feet, splayed to bear the weight, and twin brass taps which, ever dripping like a child's nostrils, had scored parallel blue-green ski trails down its white enamel slope. The only available water was cold, a fact I mentioned once to one David, a friend, who always stayed at the Windsor when in town, but he had spent many years in India with the British Army, and doubtless knew about these things. "Of course there's no bloody hot water," says he, his scarlet cheeks deepening to purple. "There never is, not in places like the Windsor." My curiosity sagged beneath the weight of his blustering hotelmanship, and I went elsewhere. Chapter 11. Peter the Pill. If Darwin was a punishment station, Marymount PSO was the condemned cell. When Tony got there, Peter was in charge. Peter hailed from Denmark, of wealthy parents, and had been sent to darkest Africa by his father. In his late 20s, he was blond and stocky, well facaded down to a cultured accent, and a friend of Derek's. His ambition was to be Prime Minister, and he had all the qualities. He had his first beer at 5:30 in the morning to relax tense muscles. The second, half an hour later, relaxed stressed nerves. The third, the spinal column, and so on until he got to the hair follicles. He also took pills to speed things up. Get everything relaxed good and quick, no messing about. Pills for blood pressure, lung rhythm and liver, pills for kidneys and spleen, pills for hangovers and pills to guard against them, vitamin pills, Valium, pills for period pains, headaches, abdominal discomfort, pills for indigestion, constipation, diarrhea and claustrophobia, pills red, pills blue, pills green and every hue, pills oval, pills tubular, pills round, pills square, pills in bottles, pills in packets, pills in boxes, pills to swallow, pills insert, pills, pills, pills. If he stayed with you overnight, he covered the breakfast table with so many boxes, bottles, and packets of pills, it looked like New York from a helicopter. There was no room for food. You had that on your lap. He was also, amazingly, a fitness fanatic. Every morning, after a couple of beers and a dozen pills, he would man a pack and run himself flat out for 5 or 6 kilometres. How he stayed alive, God only knows, unless the walls of his heart were made of high tensile protein or something. Peter wasn't happy at Marymount. He jittered and fidgeted and skipped about like potassium in water. But who didn't? You couldn't hear an egg fry for landmines, ambushes, mortar bombs, and Tony snoring. Only people with half a wit could stand it for long, and that half quickly went mad. Epilogue. The Impossible Dream. I told Harry a little story before he left. It is just about a century since the first native commissioner trundled up to Mount Darwin and built his first offices of mud and thatch. And today, the club has no cocktail bar, no windows, no doors. The squash courts have become kitchens, the cooking taking place over open fires. The floor of the club hall is covered with the possessions of squatters, ghost dung, chicken shit, and fireplaces. The tennis courts are distinguishable from the bush only by the fences that once surrounded them. The swimming pool is filled with bicycles, firewood, beer bottles, boxes, mattresses, and leaves. When Kissinger was going around trying to ditch us, we were told we would all get a handsome handshake payable outside Rhodesia. One night, in the Changamire, we were all discussing what we would do with the lolly. We agreed that we would pool it and buy a small island in the Seychelles. We would rear cattle and sheep, grow vegetables and wheat, build a small hotel and brothel, raise the green and white flag. There would be no politicians, no journalists, and we would live out the rest of our lives in peace and serenity. We were much taken with the idea, and there was great backslapping until Jim says, "Yes, and you know what? As soon as we've set up our little paradise and raised the flag, some bastard will come along and take it off us." That took the wind out of our sails, and we all went outside and played darts, which tickled old Harry.